Alright, so this is my 2002 BMW 330i. It's got all the bells and whistles. Has the sport package, cold weather package, hot weather package, and all sorts of stuff. I'll have to dig out the paperwork and I'll detail it in the ad. 151.98 miles, 403 on this tank. I average between 27 and 30 miles per gallon depending on the mix of city and highway and if there's any aggressive stuff going on. Proper transmission, 5-speed. This is, if you weren't aware, the last, so E46 is the last generation of BMW that had the non-electric steering, so like proper hydraulic steering with lots of feel and feedback, and it's the last generation that was naturally aspirated, so you have all the throttle response and all that fun stuff. It has a Vanos valve timing. I think it's on both intake and exhaust valves, which is nice and fun, and it is rattle-free and happy and good. So you end up basically on power on the cam at low and high RPM, which is kind of cool. This has a sunroof that works like it's supposed to. I realigned it when I got it. It had sunk a little or something. It was making a lot of noise. So I think it opens up as well. I usually keep it closed because I'm fair-skinned and bald. Leather's pretty good, so BMW used, I don't know if the back seat's ever really been sat in all that much. BMW used chrome tan leather with a top coat, and the top coat is coming up. The worst of it is right here. There it is. The top coat's coming up, but you can actually, they do sell dye kits where you can dye the actual leather to match the top coat. Seems every car, especially with leather interiors, are all torn up right here. The bolstering is actually nice and firm. It's still supportive. There's some more top coat rubbed off. But definitely no problems with the stitching. This car, since I've had it, I give it a semi-annual leather conditioning, and or annual leather conditioning and semi-annual on the steering wheel because your hand oils get on it. Let's see. Manual transmission, very important. I think that's the biggest thing about this car, the 3-liter engine, manual transmission, rear-wheel drive. Common issues on these cars are the cooling system. I've already replaced everything. The upholstery on the pillars likes to come undone. I've replaced the A and C pillars with new BMW parts. The B pillars I didn't do because they weren't falling down. They will probably have to be done. The window regulators are known to go bad. When I got it, that one was bad. It's been replaced and has a lifetime warranty, although I'm not sure how transferable it is, but it's much better quality than the original. I don't know. I think the front two had been replaced sometime in the service history. It was originally sold as a California car, Southern California specifically, and I do have paperwork to back that up. Locked that door somehow. Oh yeah, you gotta be in the one. Never understood all these fancy electro doodads. There. I'm just opening everything up. So the seats are power and they are nice and functional. 60/40 split rear. So this is basically the biggest engine you could get, because the M only came in a coupe in this generation. So if you wanted your fast car and a modicum of practicality, this was the option. So you got a 60/40 split pass-through, not quite wagon capacity, but pretty damn close. That is a ski pass-through, which is pretty neat. I think it's been used never. I have opened it, but basically this comes down and then you put your skis in there from the back, and there's a little button there that drops the door from the trunk, and you just shove your skis in there. So yes, modicum of practicality because you had the rear doors because the M's only came with 2 doors. And there were some that had a solid bulkhead, which I guess gives you a little bit more torsional rigidity, but really screws you in the, again, the actual practicality standpoint. And an actual spare tire versus the silly kit things. Has a battery relocation kit. The battery lives under here. Has a sport exhaust, and there's a little baffle on this side. I think it is. It's a little baffle back in there. You can see that mechanism for it up there. I actually went in and unplugged it so it sounds nice and sporty even at idle. But if you take this panel off, you just plug it in and you're active again. All the tools are present, accounted for, and unused. Has all of this stuff. Don't know how much of it works or whatever you need to do to make it go. I've never tried any of it. Also, it had the BMW didn't do the VIN stickers on all the doors and panels and stuff, and this was somebody checked that box at the dealer, and so that's on all the doors and panels, and they are all original and untouched. This thing is fun. Again, never used this. Don't know. I'm not a skier. My wife skis, but she takes her Jeep. Those are all nice and neatly tucked. Little dealy whopper there. So that's minor finish. I'm going to try and show all the faults so there's no surprises. So minor finish issue right there on the center console, and it's the same on the underside. There's the minor staining in the floor mats. There's a few paint chips and dents, little minor door ding kind of stuff. And it's a 15-year-old car that's been used all that time. You see this upholstery is nice and clean as well. These are known to peel. There's a rubber coating on them. And I actually took this all apart and reapplied the rubber coating. Same with this. The cup holders, especially if there's anything acidic like Coca-Cola, for instance, sodas, that gets in there, it'll eat the rubber coating off the plastic. But the plastic itself is coated, so I actually reapplied rubber coating on all that as well. All of this stuff is all functional. Change dude. More finish issues on this guy because I did not take it out of the car. When I got this thing, I actually pulled the whole interior out to clean it as thoroughly as humanly possible. There's a little bit of damage in the leather. It looks kind of like a cigarette burn that's been repaired, but it's the only thing that hints at cigarettes, so I'm not even sure that's the case. Comes with all the original literature and the valet key and the second key and all that good stuff. Has a flashlight. I forgot this thing existed. I don't know if it works or not. Hey, it still works. I don't know how bright it is, but it works. It lives right up in here, which is why it's so easy to forget about it. That's just a little cubby. Seat heaters. I don't know if it'll... Oh, whoa. Seat heaters. You can turn off the traction control. I don't know if it's full off or partial off. And this is like sound enhancement. It has the Harman Kardon deal. These work as well. Has the smoker's package. I don't want that to actually do that. What else? I think that has something to do with the cell phone thing, and I think the pickup microphone lives in there. When you do that, that all works. All the lights all work, and they're all nice and happy and good and wonderful. Rain sensing wipers. The windshield is only a few months old. It's got the M wheels, the tires. So I change oil on the 5s and use synthetics as required, or suggested by BMW. Well, they say like whenever it says to do it, but I do it on the 5s and I rotate the tires at the same time. Since I got it, I did a brake and clutch flush. The clutch is about 3/4 life. I don't know if I have documentation. I did not do the clutch. That was done before me. I don't know if I have documentation for it, but it's definitely not a 150,000 mile clutch. It's probably done around 100. So the first owner sold it, I think, at 96,000, give or take. And again, Southern California, for what that's worth. The second owner lived up in Gilpin, and this was his summer mountain blaster, which is pretty much what I've used it for as well. It only had 5,000 miles since I've owned it. Or a little bit more than that, maybe 7 or 8. But since I've owned it, I completely redid the cooling system. It has a new radiator, all new lines, new thermostat, new water pump. I did the spark plugs. I've done the oil and filter, obviously. I replaced the power steering filter, which is the whole reservoir. The oil filter housing gasket was leaking a little bit. That was the only leak it had. And since I had the whole front end of the engine apart to do all the cooling system, I went ahead and did that. It was a $4 gasket, and then there's no more leaks. Got all new filters, so the air filter's new, oil filter's new, power steering filter's new. Those are all the filters on the car. Oh, the cabin air filter, that's also new. I replaced, like I said, the windshield and the cowl because it was a little worse for the sun. All the flushes, all the fluids. Transmission is supposed to be a lifetime fill, but yeah, no, that's a joke. So replaced the transmission fluid, did a flush, and that with BMW fluids. Same thing with the rear diff. There is no front diff. The brakes are completely shotgunned. It's got all new rotors on all 4 corners, and as well as new pads, obviously. The tires, 225/40 aspect ratio on 18-inch rims. I'm looking for the date. They're not the newest because it doesn't get driven much. You can see there's plenty of tread. They're all season tires. There we go. 2114. So they're a little over 3 years old, I think. A little bit of road rash on the rims. And again, stock sport rims. A little bit on this one. Ooh, that's a bit of a chunk. Took it through a car wash, but it wasn't a very good car wash. Don't think I'll be going back there. What else? The previous owner put a new BMW roundel on the front. It's got some touch-up paint in a few places beyond just on the nose. That wheel has a little bit of curb rash, but looks pretty clean. That one's actually really clean. Yeah, again, battery relocation. So this is where the battery would live, but since this is the Super Sport model, they pushed it back to the back. This predates the ZHP trim, which I think came out in 2003, which gave it, I think, mostly just dress-up stuff, but it did have a better cam. I think 50 horsepower bonus there or something, give or take. With the battery relocation, you jump it using that and pretty much anywhere metal for the negative. Everything works. I have no complaints. I'm only selling it because I bought that. Needed a truck for work. And got the truck first, then took this to the car wash today to get it all cleaned up. Anyway, 3-liter naturally aspirated straight 6. It won't burn oil noticeably between changes if you drive it normally. If you give it a lot of beans, it will burn a little, but it has a warning light that says, hey, change the oil or add some oil before it gets too low to do any damage. So that's actually really neat. I didn't know they did that. This little guy's known to go bad. I pulled it out and checked it, and it's nice and tight and happy. I don't know if it's ever been replaced or if it's just nice and tight and happy. What else did I do? all the preventative maintenance stuff has been done. It's basically at this point just a reliable driver, which is great. That's what I'm going for generally, but I needed a truck. This doesn't haul wood, and the wife doesn't like me borrowing her Jeep so much. No hail damage. We've had a lot of hail recently. Nice and clean and shiny. There's a few scratches in the clear coat, like somewhere back here, right here. There's a few little scratches. That's probably not even going to show up. Yeah. There's a few little scratches. If you took it to a detail shop, I don't know what all they would be able to do, but I'm sure more than nothing. Yeah, that's it. Nice clean car. Looked like there might have been a light bulb out, but there's only one. I really like it. Has orange lights, I believe they come from here, that shine down on the shifter at night, which is kind of cool. It's very well thought out. I understand the BMW thing now. Anyway, that's it. We can look at all the stickers. There's that one. There's the one on this one. Or did they not do the back doors? Did I lie? Guess the back doors didn't get stickers. No sign of damage otherwise. And I looked. Alright, the end.